tomorrow is Purim.
Yes.
Tomorrow's Purim. We all know what Purim is the celebration of when Esther went in and annihilated the enemy for her people, and he was killed, and her people were saved. And it's the celebration of the slaves' freedom.
Yes.
Okay? And so he began to talk to me about it, because a lot of people are upset about the war, and there's a heaviness, and that's to be understood. That's what comes with war. War is hard and it's costly. But if there had not been a war, there wouldn't be a me and you today.
Right.
If there had not been some type of a war, you and I would not experience freedom as we have right here. And not just freedom, but freedom to go into the house of God to worship. You know, we wouldn't have those things. And so, but when you start looking at the parallels of the story, though, it is amazing how we're right there with the story. But here's the part that I really couldn't believe, because I've taught on Esther for so long, for years, but I've always focused in on two things. I focused in on the preparation period that Esther had to go through, because that was a healing time.
Right.
You know, that was her deliverance. And that was as important as anything, because it took that for her to be able to fulfill her destiny. She'd have never been prepared for the position, the promotion that God was giving her, had she not gone through those things. And so I've always focused in on that, and then I've always focused in on the fact that her obedience brought her to the place where she was able to be used, you know, to annihilate the enemy that would try to do away with her people. And because of her obedience, her people now live in freedom. That's what Purim's all about. We celebrate their freedom.
Right.
Okay, but the one part that I kept overlooking was the blessing. The blessing. And I thought, how could I have overlooked that? How could I have not seen that? And I told my husband that. I said, I can't believe I've overlooked this all these years. And he said, it's because it was for such a time as this.
Yeah.
And I truly believe that, because of where we are today. And it's really cool, some of the things he began to show me. I began to look up the month of Adar, which is what we're in. The Hebrew month of Adar represents a moment of tension between obedience and surrender, obeying God's divine instruction and at the same time surrendering to his process and timing. The Hebrew month Adar prepares you for Nisan, which is our very next month, when Passover is celebrated.
Right.
Okay? The real blessing comes. Positioning you for a change. This is the part that got me. Positioning you for a changed mindset and emotions from slavery to liberation. Embracing mixed emotions and surrendering to them to God allows for purifying your identity, setting into motion his mercy and revelation that is to come in Nisan, the month of Nisan, which is the Passover where it's celebrated. So I thought that was pretty cool. But then he led me to look up more about Adar. If this was about the changing the mindset of a people from slavery to liberation, I knew there was more. And I kept hearing Naphtali. Naphtali was the son of Jacob. Of course, there is a tribe of Naphtali. It's associated with Adar, the month where Purim is celebrated. The name means a wrestling, a fight.
Yes.
It's all about a fight. We're in a fight. We're in a war right now. And it's all about the fight and the victory. And the tribe's identity is tied to ideas of striving, resilience, and divine blessing. The blessing given to Naphtali by his father Jacob was freedom, grace, and fruitfulness, increase, favored status, promotion, and potential for prosperity. Okay? I looked a little further. Naphtali was the tribe when they were handing out the inheritances of the land. The land that they were given was agriculturally blessed. So there was great harvest that came to them, that increase.
Right.
The Hebrew letter associated with Adar is Kuf, K-U-F. It relates to, I like these words, exponential, double, great number, and multiplication. Great number and multiplication. In this season, I'm a stickler on this kind of thing. It's just something I follow closely. The season we're in. If you don't know the times in the season you're in, you could lose out. You could miss out on what God is speaking in this time, because what's happening now, you can usually look back into the Word and find it paralleling in some way. So what's happening with Iran, which is ancient Persia,
right,
is exactly what is happening. What was happening thousands of years ago in Purim.
right.
Exactly. They parallel. It's the same thing where someone rose up and God used them to go in and set the captive free. Okay? Now, the only thing I have not really got into is because I don't know if it's true. It marked me that I said that someone told me it was the year of Jubilee.
Yeah.
This was a Jubilee. This was a Jubilee year. And if that is so, what is the Jubilee about? It's about setting the captive free. It's about a restart, which I believe we're in. And it's a restart certainly for the people of Iran.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? And a lot of these people are Christian people that want freedom. That just wanted freedom. They've been oppressed. The Islamic life is one that is, I wouldn't want to live under it. It's mean. I ain't gonna lie to you about it. And so these people just wanted to experience freedom, and they've been crying out for it for a long, long time. And they've watched thousands of their family and friends be murdered in the streets. They've been crying out, God, get us out of this. If you're real, get us out of this. And God sent someone to set them free. Now, just because, and just like it was with Esther, I'm sure that the battle didn't stop there. I'm sure that we're going to have some more battles. We may face some backlash. We've got, all of these silent sales right here in the U.S. because, never mind. But because they've been allowed into the United States and they're waiting to attack. We don't know what is sleeper cells, correct? And we don't know what's ahead of us. We're going to have have to fight. And that's why God is raising up real warriors, not wimpy saints. And I tell you what, there's times like this that He's separating the saints from the ain'ts. You're finding out who's got the goods and who don't. And it don't have nothing to do with how many you got following you on social media. It's about what's going on inside of you that's going to win the fight. And so, to me, a lot of people are really upset over the war, and there's a lot of people that seem to be, they're carrying this in a real heavy way. But at the same time, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, my God, you've just moved a mountain. You just did something amazing for your people.
Right.
And who are we to stand in the way of what you're doing and setting a people free? And it made me, I'm telling you, it really made me see, even in my own church this morning, when I got to looking around and I started delivering this. And I can't say that I did the best job this morning because I wasn't really that prepared for it. But I spoke my heart and I could see, how many people really appreciate their freedom.
Amen to that. I said that myself today.
I wrote a post on it. When you stop honoring something, you usually end up abusing it.
Become complacent today.
You become complacent, and there's so many people that have forgotten what it was like to be enslaved, whether it be to your mind, things of this world, to sin itself. People have forgotten what real freedom is like, and they're fussing about, they're not our people, why should we fight for them? Well, why did God fight for you? Did you forget? Did you forget what freedom was all about? What if that was you watching your loved ones be murdered? What if it was you being told that you weren't allowed to worship anymore the God that you love and adore? Right. And the one that gave his life for you? What if it was you facing those things? Would your answer be a little bit different? And I'm sitting here thinking about this, and I'm thinking about, here we are, we're about to go to Pakistan. And we're about to do the same thing. He told me years ago, and I had no clue. And this was after I came back from Pakistan. He said, I'm going to use you to raise up modern day Esthers. And look what we're doing. We're two of those modern day Esthers that God is going to use to go set the captive free. Yes. We're three. Are you in there, girl? I don't know where you went.
You do.
I don't know where you went on here. I'll have to find you. But there you are. So, there is God is at work. War, nobody likes war. It's costly. But if somebody hadn't gone to war for us and fought a battle for us, we would not be here today. And I think that, God gave me something else this morning. He said, if we must give account for what God has already done. We must take a look at what God's. Let me tell you, for the last few weeks, I can't explain it, y'all. And my heart bubbles when I think about it. I've never been in this place before. I felt like I was pretty resilient. It took a lot to get me, to really knock me down. But I've never been in this place before. He has had me in such a place of gratitude and thanksgiving for the smallest things. Oh, yes. I mean, it's a constant reminder. If you forget what I've already done, how will you receive the blessing? How will you know how to recognize the blessing when it comes? But if you don't stay in a place, an attitude of gratitude, and so constantly I've been there. Even when something has tried to come and discourage me, it's like before the day's out, something kicks me in the butt and says, get back to where you're supposed to be. And I hear it, I know it, I feel it's tugging. Right. And it's like, get back to where you're supposed to be, and check your attitude. And I get there, and as soon as I start calling out the things, I challenged the people this morning. I said, start writing down. If you got to get a piece of paper and pencil and start writing down what God's done for you, I bet you won't be able to stop. And I bet when you get started, it will change your whole attitude and your whole outlook, And when you get in that place of gratitude and thanksgiving, I can't help it. I don't have a worry. I don't have a fear. And it has helped me and strengthened me in such a way that this is real, and we're going to do this.
Yes, amen.
We're going to do this. People might think we're slap nuts. But and maybe y'all can slap me later, but I'm going to go right on through with it until God says no. So it is not just a strength, but it has given me joy. Joy unspeakable, full of glory. Joy of the Lord is your strength. Even when things look a little grim, even when you don't think that, the money's not coming quite as fast as I'd hoped for, I still have joy because I know God is in it. There's nothing that can take the place of you knowing that you're fulfilling God's purpose in your life. There's nothing that can take the place of I'm exactly where God wants me. And if you don't believe it, you go disobey God and see how miserable you become, because you will be the most miserable person till you get in place. So that leads me back to Esther. Esther, she had to go through all of those things because there were some things that had to be brought into order in her life. We read about the great harvest and the barns being filled. How many people have a barn? A spiritual barn. They're ready to receive the blessing. How many are ready? God, give me $1 million, but you wouldn't know what to do with it if it was handed to you on a silver platter. You have not prepared for it. You've not studied finances. You've not looked into investments. You know what are you going to do with it? You're going to lose it. You're going to invest it. You're going to play with it and then lose everything you got when God's given you and blessing you with something that He expects you to use it correctly. I mean, are you really ready for the blessing? If she had not prepared right, she'd never been able to receive the blessing. Now it says that she went into the king. Now, not only did she risk her life, but when she went in there, it says he asked her, the king, the most wealthiest, most powerful man on earth, who's got rule over 180 countries under him, and he's the wealthiest man. He's got riches beyond, galore. And he looks at her and says, tell me what you want, Esther. I'll give you up to half of my kingdom. Can you fathom what that would have been? Her answer, humbly to him, was, if it pleases my king. If it pleases my king. Before you try to go give me something, let me do something for you. Let me give you an offering. Let me bring something to the table. Yes. I want to do something for you. I want to create a banquet for you. Mom always said, wait till a man's heart was through his belly. Sorry, said Bianca, but that's what Mama taught me. And I've proven it true most of the time.
That's true.
She said, let me fix your favorite dessert. Let me fix your favorite dish. Let me do something special for you. She did it not once, but she did it twice. Twice. I imagine after everything was said and done, that man was looking at his wife saying, you know what? You was the prettiest thing that I ever saw before all this. I imagine you was pretty good in bed too. But I bet he was looking at her a little bit differently.
Oh yes, definitely.
I imagine he looked at her and said, my God, what a woman of integrity. What a woman of faith. What a woman of strength.
Comparing to what the wife he had before.
Yeah, but see, if she had not prepared,
it wouldn't have been that way.
It wouldn't have been that way. She'd have never been able to fulfill, nor would she have ever received the promise. So God is saying to us, get everything in order. Get everything in order. God did that with me at the beginning when we started with that stupid PayPal. You know, the devil attacked it, and so I thought, okay, we got to do something different. And yes, it upset me, but because I did what the Lord said for me to do, it's better. And you know what? Before, my blessings would have been limited. Now I can receive any kind of payment for Pakistan. There are no limitations to what people can do now because the platform has been widened. You know, it took me getting some stuff in order I thought was in order, but I got checked. And now it's where it's supposed to be. You have to get things in place so you can receive the blessing. I'm not one, I don't like, I see Christians do this a lot. God is not raising up a bunch of people who are hustlers. I don't even like that word because God is a God of order and He's a God of more than enough. And if He's both of those in our life, we don't have to hustle for anything.
Right. Just trust.
Not anything. Trust and believe. Yes. And let me just say this, before she went into that hall to see him, she called things into order. Not it wasn't just with her own life, but then, you know, Mordecai looked at her and said, you can pass up this moment if you want, but you know what? You ain't gonna escape the judgment that's coming. You're not gonna escape what's about to take place. So she had a choice to make. She said, you know what? We're coming in order right now. I'm getting my mind focused in on what I'm supposed to be doing, what I'm called here to do. It's more about pretty gowns and being in position. It was about, you know, coming into a place with God so that she could fulfill His promise and His purpose for her life. and she called a 3-day fast.
Yes.
She called a fast to prepare her to go in to the king. She brought something to the table. Today, I asked the people, I said, what are you willing to bring in? We're commanded to bring a blessing to the Lord on the 3 feasts, which is Passover, which is coming up. That's in 5 weeks. I said, I ain't talking about that blessing. What you willing to bring to the table today? What are you willing to do for God if it pleases Him? What are you willing to do that will bring glory to Him, or that will bring a smile to His face? He likes it when we bless Him. So why do we fight withholding it from Him? When the one who says, I'll give you my kingdom, and that was the earthly king, but our heavenly king says, I'll give it all to you.
Yes.
There's no limitations with Him. The blessing is there for us. And in times of chaos, this was the other thing He spoke to me. He said, in times of chaos, that is the time for revival. That's the time for revival.
Yeah.
But you can't bring revival if you're dry.
Correct.
You can't bring revival if you're dry. And then I was pondering on that a bit. And a few days ago, I heard a sermon, and it really stood out to me. And I'll be doggone if while I was getting dressed, I didn't hear another sermon on it, where he took Joshua to the river Jordan, and he was preparing them. He was about to be the one to lead the people over, but the people are looking at Joshua because they haven't known him as a leader for very long. They only knew Moses, and now they're looking at Joshua. How you gonna act when you get under adversity? How you gonna act when things get tough? And so God took him to that river. Well, in all actuality, in real life, the River Jordan is like a stream. It's not that big, y'all. It's not that big of a deal. But God took Joshua there at a time and a season when it was flooded.
Yeah.
And He gave him the vision. And He told him to wade out a little deeper, and wade out a little deeper, and wade out, and said, on the sides of the riverbanks was trees growing with fruit. It was plentiful. It was fruitful. He let him see it. But he also, he said, it's going to take you surrendering to me. And he said, even the leaves, nothing is wasted. Even the leaves are used for the nations and the healing.
Yes.
Right. So why do we control God? Let Him consume you. Let Him saturate you. Don't go to church and ask for just a little drop will do you. Let Him consume you so that you can go forth and see what God, do what God has called you to do. Lead the people and lead them. Lead the people. Be the revival. Don't wait for somebody else to do it for you.